Hey guys, Jeremy Wells here. I'm going to do a little video on what goes on with the club shaft in transition from the backswing to downswing. Why that's important. We're going to look at some different guys and I'll give you kind of my preferences, but also you'll see some interesting examples of people who make it work when maybe not doing it the traditional way. So we're going to start with Mr. Hogan here, and what you're looking at is the top of his swing and his early downswing. And what we can see is he is shallowing this club shaft. What that means is the club is flattening out, so it is going to lean back like so as he goes down. Let me do that one more time. At the top. Now this is a bad angle, so it looks like he's across the line. I assure you he's not. He would be done flattening by now. Everything else is going to steepen down into the ball. So flattening the shaft early, when combined with good hip depth and a couple of other things, is what allows you to rotate well left after you hit. It also allows you to keep your head out over the ball and keep this nice space here for the club to come through. So that's the movement I prefer. Doesn't have to be as dramatic as Hogan. One of the reasons Hogan is so dramatic is because his right arm is somewhat internally rotated at the top of his swing, and then he's going to go into external rotation. A lot of guys like Dustin Johnson, old Tiger, and new Tiger, Brooks Koepka, Adam Scott, they're going to be in external the whole way throughout their backswing. Out of those players, Koepka's the only one who seriously flattens the shaft in transition. Here he is. Unique swing, super shut face halfway back. And if we mark the shaft as he's getting up to the top, again, not a great angle. We'll say it points there. In transition, you're going to see it immediately shoot well out. So that is the image of flattening the shaft or shallowing the shaft. What that allows him to do and forces him to do is rotate his legs, everything around really, really hard so he can square the face from that flatter position. So the more I watch this stuff, I think having this left wrist bowed like he does at the top, and especially in transition, as the shaft flattens, it just forces him to rotate hard, which equals speed, which equals consistency. Another example of somebody who flattens it, but not on such a drastic, not so drastically, is Justin Rose. Okay, I'll just draw that line down. You can say that's a hair across the line. And there you see that club just kick back. So that club head in transition is moving like so. On the other hand, one of the few people who got really, really famous by steepening the shaft in transition, Phil Mickelson. We'll look at him as a righty, just for fun. And what I'll do is I'll mark the shaft as he almost gets to the top. Phil being Phil, he's hitting, I don't know, a hybrid or something. He's taking this thing way past parallel. And as he starts forward, you will see this club come out much steeper than where it started. So my general rule is anytime you get to left arm parallel and that club's still pointed inside of the golf ball, meaning between the ball and your feet. Your steep, and the rest of your downswing is going to be all about unsteepening the shaft. Most of the time that comes with the big head back up and knees shooting well out from underneath. Phil manages to keep his head out over the ball for the most part on this swing, but you see his classic right knee, left knee really, but right knee as a righty, flying out from under him. You also see how hard he has to work to square the face with his right hand coming completely off of the club because he's turning his glove hand down so hard. So to me, that's sort of a direct result of how steep he gets this thing in transition. Another thing that goes with steepness is a cupped left wrist in the transition. If you just think about it, if you stand in a mirror and you take a club and you bow your left wrist, it's going to lay the club off. If you cup your left wrist, it's going to point the club over across the line. And now Sergio is a lefty. Let's try as a righty. Oops. Here we go. So we'll draw the original shaft plane here. So he approaches the top, maybe a smidge laid off, and what you're going to see, he has this huge kind of drop lag move. So he's going to flatten the shaft like crazy. So look where that thing's pointing. So now the entire rest of his downswing is based on steepening the shaft onto the plane. So if we track it, by the time he gets down close to impact, he has steepened it directly onto the shaft plane. And that is just ridiculous how he can do that. So that progression from up here to here to here to here, the only other guy who does that, one of the other guys who does that or did that was Hogan. Fortunately, I just don't have a great video. I have one very grainy down the line view of him. See if this will do justice for what I'm talking about. Shaft plane at address. Club as he's getting to the top. Immediately flattens the club like so. And it's going to steepen the whole rest of the way down. So that pattern to me leads to this right arm getting in front, leads to your body being able to rotate aggressively left. I believe that steepening the shaft in transition, meaning the shaft going from here to here, is a no-no, leads to early extension, head backing up, loss of posture, and a really flippy release. If done correctly, flattening the shaft allows you to square the club much more consistently, much more of a body rotation type move, and quite frankly, just a better golf swing. So one more. Nope. Hogan was unique in that he could do this from a cupped wrist position. So this club, based on his videos, is pointed, I don't know, in this direction. Camera angle's a little off. And as he starts forward, you see the hands going towards the ball. This club kick's well behind him. Gets right down on the plane. Even on a little wedge shot, you see that. So there you go. Just a little bit on flattening the shaft in transition, its importance, and kind of the good stuff it leads to. Because we can't all be like this guy and be world class for decades with these sorts of idiosyncrasies. That would be nice, though. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.